Jordan Peterson.
Hello,
I didn't
Mr.
even
Rogan.
notice you have a two-tone suit going on.
Can
You're
I tell
a
you
wild
about this
man.
suit?
Please do.
Okay. Well,
What's happening with that?
company made this for me, LGFG. They made me a dozen suits.
Yeah?
One for each rule from 12 Rules for Life.
Ah.
The rules are printed on the back of this underneath the collar. This is a heaven and hell suit, so it's quite fun. So
Which
this
one's
is,
hell?
I'll show you in a sec. So this is hell's red, Joe. Come on, Jesus.
But that's not really red.
Well,
It's like
you
a
know,
magenta,
It's stylish.
right?
Yeah, it's okay. Hell's magenta. You know?
Okay, hell's
yeah,
magenta.
it's designer hell.
Ah,
You know.
nice.
So this is made out of sheep's wool, and this is made out of goat's wool. So that's pretty funny. And then in here you've got your basic heaven lining and your basic hell lining.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't think I've ever seen a man
Sheep's-
walk around with a. I think you're one up.
am I one up?
Yeah, you're one up. Are you?
No, that's
No,
good.
you're good?
It's,
Oh.
it's double-breasted.
Double-breasted.
Yeah,
Fancy.
yeah. I've got one suit with you in the lining too.
Oh, no.
I was going to wear it today. I thought about wearing it. It's a
Oh my God! He has a suit with Joe Rogan in the lining. Stop!
It's a black suit with platinum wires in it.
The dick riding goes crazy, and then people are like, Joe Rogan has people he disagrees with all the time on his show. Yeah, dude. And then he also, for the most part, has people who literally has his face in the lining of their suits. That's the most common Joe Rogan guest, okay?
Which is kind of cool. And inside it's got black and white images of like really sharp, harsh graphic images of you and Brett Weinstein and Ben Shapiro and Russell Brand and, you know, as an assortment of the
Oh, that whole
Sam
intellectual
Harris
dark web
too.
thing.
That's
Sam's
the guys,
in there.
man. Sam's in there too. Yeah, yeah.
I still.
What schizos on Twitter are saying about Jordan Peterson and his shirt. Oh, I love this. I love this. I love this. Jordan Peterson on his JRE with a two-tone heaven and hell suit. Heaven, sheep's wool. Hell, goat's wool. Duality. Light and dark. I love looking at what schizos have to say about these things.
Still have hope for Sam Harris.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, I hope he makes a comeback. So,
I mean, he's not really going away. He's just got some weird opinions.
yeah, well,
But
there's plenty of that floating around.
Well, you know, I think when you have like complex, fascinating brains, they go off in all kinds of different directions. Don't you think?
This is one of the dangers of being creative, right? Most creative ideas are wrong, and a good section of those wrong ones are fatal. But now and then you get one that's necessary. So
Yeah, we were talking about the Twitter files before
Yeah.
we got rolling, and what?
Oh, ew, they're not going to talk about Twitter files, right? Oh God, I can't comprehend anything that's more boring to talk about than this. Oh Jesus.
The new stuff is. So the new stuff has something to do with AI and some sort of content moderation.
oh yeah, well Tabby released some.
I do think it's rough when you criticize all of his supporters as mentally ill. Defo doesn't lend you more credibility. I never said all of his supporters are mentally ill. Okay? I mean, they do have some issues for sure, but like you have to have some weird thing going on in your brain to make that assertion. Like I never even meant that. I never even implied that. We literally just looked at schizo posting that is not even like a fan of his. I don't even know if this guy's a fan of Jordan Peterson. Two-tone, split suit, two-faced Janice, also the split psyche, mind control. Like, I don't even know if this guy's a fan of his. They're just like reading way too much into his fucking suit. And I think that that's funny. So what's up? Why did you imply that? I mean, I think a lot of his fans are incels. I think a lot of his fans are like looking for, a daddy. They're looking for someone to like guide them. And unfortunately, they found this fucking idiot to guide them. And he is probably the worst person. But I never said that all of his fans are fucking mentally ill or whatever.
Twitter files today on
that guy definitely
on
is.
Twitter, obviously, and they're going through the code. Now, I don't understand the technical details, but you don't exactly know when you see the output of a code generated system exactly what rules it's using to sort the information. I suppose that's the equivalent of shadow banning, and there's all sorts of there was apparently all sorts of directives built into the code to amplify certain kinds of messages and, de-amplify others. And so apparently Musk is doing what he can to clean that up. Ruben reported that the other day. Yeah. And then Tybee today, he was talking more about the whole Russian collusion fabrication.
He said Tybee. Matt, these motherfuckers don't even know how to say your last name, dog. I used to listen to the Tarfu report. You fucking asshole. Look how far you've come. Look at what your career is now. My man said Tybee. Fucking idiot, dude. I've never seen a worse fall from grace than Matt Taibbi. I swear to God. Just someone who I used to look up to as well. It's Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi both. God, what an insane sequence of L's that they've taken. Both Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi were two people that I looked up to as like genuinely good reporters, brilliant journalists who were like truth tellers ultimately. And we are so far removed from that reality at this point. It's just like, ugh. What did Matt do? The grifter money's too good. Wait, what did Matt do? You mean what did Matt Taibbi do like back in the day that made me love him? He wrote a lot at the Rolling Stones about like him and Lee Fong. And Lee Fong is also not fully gone, but like kind of gone as well. These guys used to do such great work talking about like lobbyist financing, dark money, the Wall Street tentacles, specifically a Matt Taibbi reference, talking about Goldman Sachs. Like their entire body of work before they did this like weird reactionary heel turn was all about how these financial institutions are basically doing everything they can to just continue robbing the American people blind and making bets with our money and doing a bunch of awful shit. You know? That doesn't pay the bills enough for them? Yeah, I don't know. Matt was a central figure for the Occupy Wall Street movement too. Where he is now is wild to see. What do you think caused the right-wing turn for them? I think for them individually, I know what caused it. I think part of it is because, well, Matt was like kind of weird with women, I think, at the workplace or something. And that was like his first recognition that he was not going to be defended by the left. And he got scared of Me Too, so that was his like first heel turn, I think. And it's much stupider when you think about it, but like they're in the same Twitter DM group. And like in that DM group there is like a bunch of people that they thought were cool that were that ultimately became these like reactionary dickheads. You're scared of him? Who? Matt Taibbi? No. Yeah, Glenn was always like a bit of a libertarian. Yes, he defended Matt Hale, who was a literal Nazi white separatist whose group killed people, which was super shitty. He also was like he was always a libertarian. Like he was like a Noam Chomsky style libertarian for his like free speech defense. And he also wrote praise about the Iraq War, if I'm not mistaken. But he very quickly turned around and wrote such incredible work, like did such brilliant investigative reporting on government surveillance. Like, come on. I'm telling you though, Tarfu Report was one of my favorite podcasts / radio shows of all time because it had Matt Taibbi, who I loved and looked up to and admired, and Alex Perrine, who I still love and think is brilliant and very funny and very clever and very smart. Like that's how much of a fucking nerd I was, and that's how into it I was. This like short-lived radio show I used to listen to. You know what I mean? Of them two. And that's what it was. That's what happened there. I think that they just were in a... I think that they were in like a Twitter group or something. And they turned around and slowly but surely became more radicalized. And I think money also probably played a role too. What? Why do you think Noam Chomsky is not someone to look up to? His political writings and speeches are excellent in my opinion. What? When did I ever use anything short of like complete admiration and praise when mentioning Noam Chomsky? What? Like, it's not that I glaze up Noam Chomsky all the time. What the fuck are you talking about? At a certain point, it just feels like, it feels like chatters just have no understanding of what I have to say. I think it's because you said he's a libertarian. Noam Chomsky is a libertarian. Jordan Peterson is a lot like Noam Chomsky in his position on free speech. I bet you could learn a lot from him on this. Actually, the way you ban many chatters. Yeah, this person is joking. How do you not understand that this is someone who's being sarcastic, dude? Come on.
Yeah.
So that's also real fun.
Well, how about the one guy that was going after Trump, who it turned out was actually in collusion with the Russians?
Oh, yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, the best defense is a good offense, you know, and so
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
I know.
But
we're in a
it's just
crazy
like,
world.
why would anybody not think that that was going to come around to get them?
It's amazing how often people don't think that, you know, what they're doing isn't gonna end up aimed squarely at them.
Well, this Twitter thing, right? Like, they never suspected that someone like Elon was going to come along and buy Twitter and then, in an unheard of tactic, have a bunch of journalists review everything in all of their Slack meetings and all their emails, look under the code, look under the wire.
Does this shit even play outside of our bubble? Did anybody care about this? You have relatives. You have MAGA relatives. No, right? Like, I think they care more about, like, gas stoves and shit. No, I'm not even kidding. I think this is just, like, the right is now more divided than it's ever been. And I think this is a very specific part of the right that still tries to position itself as, like, the centrists. And they're just, like, podcast consumers, right? They're the guys who think, like, sometimes Trump goes a little bit too far. You know, I'm just a reasonable person. You know what I mean? They're not exactly the New York Times reading center-right individuals. They're not the Lincoln Project. You know what I mean? But I feel like Elon Musk is tailoring that towards the Joe Rogan audience of, like, center-right people that are in a very weird league of their own. Because I don't think this is that... Like, Fox News didn't cover the fucking Twitter files that much. I think this is for, like, incredibly online center-right, right-wing people who haven't, like, openly admitted that they're Nazis. Because, like, when you have, like, someone who is an extremely online right-winger, they just, like, very openly would just be like, yeah, I'm a groyper. I'm going to start using the word friend when discussing things. You know, and these are the guys that didn't go down that route, but they're like, yeah, I'm a liberal for the most part. Like, I listen to Tim Pool a lot. And that's it. Like, I think Tim Pool's got a lot of good ideas. And I listen to Joe Rogan. Like, I want to hear from both sides of the politics. So I listen to Lex Friedman, who's, I think, liberal because he's Jew. So I would assume he's, like, liberal, right? Like, that kind of motherfucker. You know what I mean? Obviously, they would never watch me because I'm, like, far too much of an extremist, but, like, yeah, I'm pretty much a liberal. I listen to Tim Pool, Joe Rogan, love Jordan Peterson. I mean, he seems gay, right? He's not. What? What do you mean? He cries all the time like a gay guy. Wears like weird suits. Sounds really feminine. What are you talking about? He's not gay? What? Okay, well, he's Canadian, so still pretty liberal, right? I'm liberal myself. Stereotypes are pretty homophobic of you. Yeah, I mean, yeah. The stereotype is of a homophobic center right guy who's like, no, me. I don't have a problem with gay people. I just think like, you know, they should just, you know, stop grooming. I think that's what I heard from my favorite liberal. Even liberals hate that, you know, like Tim Pool. Like what? What do you mean? I don't get it. What?
Under the machine and find out how it was actually running. And why? I mean, the fact that anyone would ever think that any of this stuff is a good idea, that people don't understand like the dangers of censorship. They don't understand where this leads to.
Yeah, well, we're seeing a little bit of that emerge on the right now, you know, which is kind of frightening to me. So I'm an admirer in many ways of what's going on in Florida, you know, with DeSantis. But him and Rufo, who I also think has got a bit of a clue, are trying to, what would you say, limit or even ban critical race theory. And the problem with that is you can't define it, right?
Right.
Jordan Peterson just said the Manhattan Institute's very own fucking loser who almost single-handedly destroyed the Republican chances of winning the Senate. That guy is the good guy. Notice how you haven't heard of Christopher Rufo in a while. I wonder why. He used to be everywhere, bro. What happened?
So how do you control something you can't define? And the answer is you battle it out on the battleground of ideas. Because as soon as you start to try to define it and then try to censor it, well, first of all, that's just going to grow because that's how those things work. You know, like where does critical race theory shade into Marxism? Well, who the hell knows? Where does Marxism shade into socialism?
Why is any of this bad? You can't be cutting an argument about banning certain types of education immediately after you cried about how people are saying you can't post the way you're posting. Don't stop posting, but like maybe conduct yourself in a way that makes sense. What the fuck? He's arguing against it. You think he just said he likes Christopher Rufo and DeSantis, whose main point that he likes about Christopher Rufo and DeSantis is their advocacy around banning CRT.
It's an even harder question. Then where does socialism shade into, you know, just being on the side of the working class? Well, all that's fuzzy beyond belief. And so once you get to the point where the government has to step in and regulate, say, what education systems are doing, you're already in deep trouble. And because I don't see how it can really be done.
Oh, he doesn't want to ban it. My bad. He said he doesn't like them banning it. My bad. I misunderstood.
Because I can't define critical race theory. You know, I mean, more or less you can get some sense of the cloud of ideas that's associated with it. But trying to draw the lines, how are you going to do that? And then, of course, you enable.
Pardon me for misunderstanding what he said, because he said he likes Christopher Rufo and he likes DeSantis. And the most notable things both of those people have done is advocate to ban CRT. It's like saying, you know, I disagree with Hitler a lot, but I like what he did with the Holocaust. Like, okay, well, that's the main thing that he's famous for. You know what I mean? It's kind of the thing that he did that's bad. Oh, sorry. It's like saying you like Hitler, but you disagree with the Holocaust. You know, I'm a big fan of his paintings, actually. What are you, a fan of Christopher Rufo as like a person and the way that he conducts himself? He didn't say he liked them.
Turned out was actually around to get them.
Isn't going to end up aiming
Twitter. And
Wait,
Yeah,
am I crazy?
race-
Did he not say I like DeSantis and I like Christopher Rufo, but I just don't like that they want to ban?
theory. And the problem with that is you can't define who in many ways of what's going on in Florida, to me. So I'm an admirer in many ways of what's going on in Florida, to me. So I'm an admirer in many ways of what's going on in Florida, with
Ban the person who said I was wrong about him glazing up Christopher Rufo and DeSantis.
DeSantis. But him and Rufo, who I also think has got a bit of a clue, are...
He likes DeSantis. He's an admirer of what's going on in Florida. He thinks Rufo has got a bit of a clue, but
trying to, what would you say, limit or even ban critical race theory. And the problem with that is you can't define it.
yeah, you can't define critical race theory. That's why you can't ban it. That's the problem with banning critical race theory. Not that it's an insane thing to want to ban. Yeah. Dude, why are dumb fuck centrists always like this? Why? Why are you always like this? Why? To derail you? No, because they want to be like right. They want to be right while also they want to feel like they're right while also simultaneously holding on to the idea that Jordan Peterson is actually an intellectual. Like, you can't say you like Ron DeSantis while you simultaneously have to recognize that you can't say you like Ron DeSantis and what he's been doing in Florida when, like, their entire point, their entire goal in Florida is to, like, ban CRT, ban gay people from public life. You know what I mean? That's their whole thing. The Hitler analogy holds. Like saying, I'm an admirer of Hitler, but, some of the parts of Holocaust were not great. I mean, there's probably more efficient methods, right? Better ways to deal with the Jews. Like that. It's like that. It's like saying that. He doesn't even have an issue with, like, the concept. He doesn't even say he has an issue with the concept of, like, banning CRT. He just thinks they are hard to define. Like, that's your problem with banning CRT? Come on, man.
Right.
So how do you control something you can't define? And the answer is you battle it out on the battleground of ideas. Because as soon as you start to try to define it and then try to censor it, well, first of all, that's just going to grow because that's how those things work. Like where does critical race theory shade into Marxism? Well, who the hell knows? Where does Marxism shade into socialism? Well, that's an even harder question. Then where does...
He's not wrong. CRT means different things to different people. Yeah, which is why we have a better assessment of what they mean when they're talking about CRT. You don't have to look that further. You don't have to look that far, man. They were asked what CRT is, okay? They, like, in court, representatives representing Ron DeSantis were asked what it means to be woke and what it means for CRT. And they literally said anything that means that America has, systemic racism in existence. So Jordan Peterson should know that by now because, we're living in the future where that has already happened. Here. Yeah, they were asked because he pitched the where is it? Ron DeSantis was asked after a legislative proposal to stop woke activism and critical race theory in schools and corporations. Okay, so they asked him, "The fuck does that mean?" All right, oops. And his general counsel said the term referred to the belief that there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to address them. So when Jordan Peterson says, well, what do they think CRT is? It's hard to define. No, it's not. They've defined it. They have defined it. So now let's talk on those terms. If Jordan Peterson was legitimately interested in having a serious conversation about this and was open about like showing his ideological position, okay, he would openly say, well, this is what Ron DeSantis' general counsel thinks is woke. The belief, and CRT, the belief that there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to address them. And I myself personally do not find that to be adequate. If he cared about this conversation, he would meet you where the fucking terms are and describe whether he has a position on it that is favorable or not. Right? Like the top of the hour. It comes and goes at the top of the hour. There's a 3-minute ad break, and I don't like it. Now, of course, if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 American dollar dues, buckaroo. Wait, is there a juicer raid? What the fuck? XQC's looking for a gym partner? Brother, I would take him to the gym, but I fear he will perish. Like, I feel like he would just turn into dust, okay? And not even like normal dust. I feel like he'd turn into Cheeto dust if he stepped inside of the gym. But, I mean, I've taken him out to play basketball and stuff. I'm down. I'm always down. God of Fizz, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Aura Autumn, thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. That's right. But yeah, no, I would take him. I'd take him to workout. But do you guys understand, Jordan Peterson fanboys, do you understand if Jordan Peterson wanted to genuinely have this conversation, he wouldn't hide behind the vagueness. He wouldn't even say, I don't like that CRT is undefinable. Okay? Because, they've defined it. So he would just say, this is what the DeSantis General Counsel thinks is like CRT and wokeness, and I agree with them. And I think that is fine to take out, especially when I know Jordan Peterson's take on indoctrination. He has tweeted out in the past, urging parents to take their children out of fucking school if they're teaching the concept of equity. Soy commie takes soy gamer to the gym. Yeah. I feel like that's one area where I don't know if people call me soy is like working out and gym shit, By the way, top of the hour segue bot gave me a 917 out of that, which I respect. Thank you. I think it's the juicers that gave me the segue. Anyway, so I'm bored of JP, man. I think this is boring. We'll finish off this video and then we'll get to fun shit.
Socialism shade into, just being on the side of the working class. Well, all that's fuzzy beyond belief. And so once you get to the point where the government has to step in and regulate, say, what education systems are doing, you're already in deep trouble. And because I don't see how it can really be done. Because I can't define critical race theory. More or less you can get some sense of the cloud of ideas that's associated with it, but trying to draw the lines, how are you going to do that? And then, of course, you enable, inevitably, no matter what your goal is to begin with, you're going to control a certain form, let's say, of pathological communication, misinformation. That's just going to play into the hands of people who like to censor, and that's just as likely on the right as it is on the left. So, no, it's a real dangerous game.
Is the problem like the term critical race theory it's open to interpretation?
Yeah, well, it's often even hard, except in retrospect, to understand a lot of what these things actually are, because new clouds of ideas emerge and they kind of have an animating spirit, and they have a set of associated, what would you say, presumptions, and you can often only see what that is in retrospect. It took me a long time to understand whatever existentialism was enough to sort of define it, phenomenology, these different schools of thought that occupied the thoughts of psychological investigators over a couple of...
Bro, Andrew Tate is 1,000 times more entertaining than this man. I'm gonna say it. Like, yeah, he's a piece of shit, sex trafficker, alleged rapist, alleged sex trafficker, but like infinitely more fun to listen to than this fucking dipshit dude. God, he is so dull. He's like, oh, like, at least with Andrew Tate, he's got a point, okay? He's got a perspective. He's got an opinion. You can understand it. He is too stupid to try to shroud it. God damn, dude. Jordan Peterson is just like, he's such a fucking gigantic pussy. Like, he can never just like openly admit what his perspective is. Dog, you're a literal fucking lobbyist for the fossil fuel industry. Like, you are a lobbyist for the fossil fuel industry. You go to every fucking right-wing conference there is out there. He goes on Turning Point USA conferences, like, we know you're right-wing. Just say it. Who cares? Nobody cares. Ugh. At least also, the other thing is, like, Andrew Tate tries to appear much smarter than he actually is, but, like, he does it in, like, a funny way. You know what I mean? You know he's a fucking idiot. Jordan Peterson also is not exactly smart, but he just uses language and word salad in a way to, like, appear infinitely smarter than he actually is. I think that a lot of my enemies accuse me of doing when I openly admit that I'm a dumbass. Yeah, see, oh, dude, before I even finished it, he said, says you. Oh, you are so easy. You're so easy, brother. Also, oh, no, it did run the ad right. Okay, good. Dude, imagine being the most predictable fucking thing on the planet. You are such a bot that I predicted what you were going to respond to, and you still did it while I was in the process of describing how much of a bot you are. Read like a fucking open book. Anyway. Such a bot.
The centuries, postmodernism, modernism, you know, it's not an easy thing to extract out the gist of those and define them. Plus, as I said, they have very fuzzy boundaries. So,
well, what I saw with DeSantis was he had a concern that it wasn't just black history that they were putting into this critical race theory, but that he saw that there was queer theory, which was in this thing that they were teaching in school. And like, how does that have anything to do with black history?
Yeah, totally, dude. They should ban that, actually. Why? Because I don't agree with it. Meanwhile, the entire point of, like, being fucking free speech is, I thought, you know, not banning things you disagree with. But he's simultaneously like, yeah, black history stuff, like, I get, but what's up with these gays?
Like, why is queer theory inserted into
well,
that?
I think the way those are linked is essentially.
Famously, there have never been, like, queer black people. That's not a thing. Like, for example, you know, like, iconic queer black people that spoke about civil rights in this country. Famously, that's not a thing.
Essentially through what you might regard as, well, it's an implicit Marxism, but it's even deeper than Marxism. So if you're a Marxist, you have a heuristic that simplifies the world, and that heuristic is that you can understand any social relationship from...
Dude, that is not a simplified heuristic, dude. Dialectical materialism is an adequate assessment to understand daily existence, okay? Understand everything. Instead of what you use as a heuristic, which is some shit you claim God wrote. Are you fucking joking? That's insane. Analyzing the material realities by examining, by classifying the producers, the mode of production, and the relationship that workers have with it versus capital owners is infinitely a more understandable way to analyze the existence that we live under than fucking, well, God made up some rules, I think, and everyone keeps misinterpreting it, but also these are objective truths. That's crazy. That's crazy. He doesn't even also understand Marxism. Like, I don't know why he's talking about this. Oh my God.
From an intimate relationship all the way up to the state by just dividing the parties, let's call them the narrative partners in a discussion or an interaction, into those who are oppressed and victimized and those who are.
Queer theory, we want to make everyone gay, let children transition, kill straight families, teach 4-year-olds about sex and rape children. Okay, you're saying that that's what? Okay, you're saying that that's what right-wingers think, right? Please. Yes, this person is trying to say right-wingers think this is what queer theory is. There's no way. This person is like asking for the EMTs to be fired. There's no shot. Yes, obviously. Well, it's not so obvious. We got a lot of fucking psychos in the chatter. You know what I mean? So it's not as obvious as you think it is, I promise.